Hello and welcome to Speedy Gaming, and I'm your host, the Speedy Turtle, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of the story about my life. Sorry it's been a while since I've been uploading videos. I have been trying to get everything all finalized and situated about my life, but let me tell you about where I came from. I was born in Bountiful, Utah, and I was moving to southern Utah to live down with my family. It was going to be a chance of an opportunity for my family and I to actually settle and actually raise us as kids. When I was born, though, when I went to the doctor, my doctor told me some bad news about my condition. My mother was, of course, crying. She was upset, and they told me that I was not even going to be able to live with them because of my condition. I was born with autism. I didn't have the capability of being able to speak and also being able to internalize things, so it became education became a little bit difficult. And as you can see, of course, me, when I was growing up, I didn't like reading. I didn't like talking, and I would get frustrated when my mother would actually try to help me read and try to encourage me throughout. And so, of course, me getting as frustrated as I am and being in my own little world, I was stuck, and I couldn't actually study, so I got frustrated with my mom, and I would always throw the books around, and I would go to my own place and do whatever I was going to do there. But as my life continued, I went to school in kindergarten, and I went to school in preschool, and I actually got to know a lot of people. I made some friends, but of course I got held back due to my disability, so I wasn't there for very long, for at least 2 years. I learned everything about school, but you know, it was a struggle, being that I had this condition which would only worsen if I didn't get the education that I needed. Of course, when I was in kindergarten, I made a lot of friends. I was able to make friends with a girl named Lauren and another guy named Tay, and I had another best friend of mine by the name of Logan. We did a lot together. We went outside during recess, and we usually played Speed. And we had basically most of the time we were outside, we would do fun activities and actually get to know each other from a day-to-day basis. So it was kind of fun. Though school was hard as I kept going through, from first grade all the way to second grade. All of my friends, especially my teacher, it was very hard for me to actually be able to internalize specific subjects like history, math, science. Those types of things were not my interest. I was an artist, so I was mostly drawing when I was in school. Though I would get upset in first grade with my teacher. I would always get angry because I didn't understand a lot of the subjects that she was teaching, so this made her very frustrated, and I got into a lot of trouble. I was actually sent to the principal's office because I didn't actually internalize these subjects very well, and I was actually suspended from school for being such a disruption. The principal let me into her office, and we were able to talk it over, but of course my mother, being there to comfort me, was the only option that she could afford, especially since we were trying to keep my education up to speed. But you know, having an education, well, especially in elementary school, became very difficult for me. So I actually got to learn a little bit more in special education. I was put into a special education program throughout my elementary school career. Of course, I didn't like it because I felt like amongst all the other kids that were in the class, I didn't feel like I fit in. I felt like I was dumb. Though I learned as I went through school that as I progressed throughout the program, I have been able to excel in my education. So it actually was good for me to go through a special education program, and it allowed me to actually excel in both math, science, and social studies. So I improved on my grades, and I was able to turn in all my assignments, but it still was a struggle for me. I didn't learn very well throughout, but I did the best that I could to internalize everything that I had. Of course, being a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was actually a huge pivotal role in my life that actually I felt was a part of my improvement throughout my life. I felt, family, tradition were all very important things, and they're things that my parents, especially my siblings, were able to teach me throughout. Is that having a belief in God was really a hope for me to lean on in my life. As I progressed, of course, I was actually very happy, because my father, when he was older, was a ordained priest, and he was able to baptize me in the water as a member of the Mormon Church. So growing up, I was about 8 years old when I was actually a part of this organized religion. I was very grateful, and I still am grateful to be a part of this religion, because it taught me the most important thing. It taught me that values and family are so important that I would never change them in my life, that they were a part of me in some way. Of course, when 9/11 happened, it was during the time that I was in the 5th grade. This shook the world. This even shook me, as I was able to learn that not everything in this life is all good, and that a lot of evil has a chance to permeate, our ears, especially when the news was reporting it. This really changed us, especially throughout the years, because during that time, around 2001, my parents decided that they should separate for a while. I was unable to actually stay with my family for very long altogether, so I had to choose if I should stay with my father or if I should stay with my mother, since she was moving. During that time, I was actually able to go back to school, but that was during the 6th grade all the way up to the 8th. We had what was known as an intermediate school, or an intermediary between middle school and elementary school, in which there was a gradual degree in which we could actually learn. It was more or less like a little tiny middle school that I went to. I didn't know anybody there, so I was certain if I was going to make any friends. Though while I was there, I was able to actually get to meet some new people. So I met a guy named Austin. He was one of my best friends throughout intermediate school. He was one of my favorite in the class, because he was a class clown, and we had a lot of fun joking around and doing fun things together, like sports. I also had a crush on a lady that really liked me. Her name was Mercedes, as the symbol implies. I was very happy in middle school because I was able to learn about all the subjects that were very pertinent to me, especially throughout my special education career. I learned social studies, math, and language, and have improved in all subjects, so school became a love and an interest to me as soon as I was growing up. Though during the 8th and 9th grade, I began to feel distant because I came into a new middle school. I made some friends, but there were a lot of cliques, and they were hard to actually enjoy, mainly because I didn't find any interests that I found were impactful to me. And there were a lot of people that just didn't really see me for who I am, and I became distant from a lot of people. It was very hard to make friends. Though, of course, I always felt that way throughout the middle school time that I've been with my dad. People called me stupid, dumb. I felt like I was being bullied at times. But as I was growing up, when I turned 16, I started getting my license, my driver's license. So I was able to drive a car that my dad owned, and we were able to learn how to drive manual and stick shift. I was pretty proud of the fact that I was able to learn how to drive at that age. Of course, while I was old enough to get a car, my dad was able to help me afford a new car that we were able to drive around. I really loved this car. This one was a Honda Civic. It was an 1988 Honda Civic. I was super happy that I was able to drive this vehicle because it made me feel like I had a sense of freedom, that I was able to actually enjoy maybe a joyride or two with my buddies. So we would take the car out for a spin at times, albeit it might have broken a few times, so we had to repair it. But we were grateful we had that vehicle. In high school, it was very difficult for me to actually get to know people, because once I moved to the small town, I was not able to adapt to my surroundings, because as a kid, I still struggled with some of the disabilities that I've had, so it made it difficult for me to fit in with other people in school. But now that I moved in, I was able to actually meet a few people in my sports groups. One of them was cross country and track. We actually were able to compete in many different meets. I slowly but surely improved upon some of my sporting activities. So as I progressed throughout school, I began to have different PRs. I got a Letterman's for most of my competitions, and I became team captain for the cross country team. My coach named me the best runner amongst the team, so I was the fastest amongst the group. Knowing how far I have come, I have also been able to improve on some sports that I competed in as well, known as wrestling. I really enjoyed the sport, though as difficult as it was, it helped me to kind of understand the importance of work ethic and being able to improve throughout the sporting routine. Though, as you know, throughout my years, I struggled with OCD, anxiety, and depression. It was one of the hardest times of my life. In fact, I know I have a lot of problems and a lot of conditions in my life that hinder me from doing things that I enjoy. But in that light, I understand that as a person, I was able to grow from these problems. I understand that they will always be there, but what's great about school is that I was able to see and make new friends and improve so much in my scholastic studies that I was able to graduate with a high school degree. It made me happy knowing that I could find anything that I wanted to do in life, though that also made it difficult. Because as decisions came around, I always wanted to be an architect. I wanted to design. I wanted to design layouts for houses. I wanted to draw. I was very adept at drawing, so I was an artist. But the thing that I lacked in architecture was being able to calculate layouts. I also wanted to be an industrial designer, but I wasn't sure if I was able to calculate those layouts as well. So film kind of was a lean, but I wasn't still entirely sure what I wanted to do in life. Not until I decided that I should go and serve a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints had I started thinking about what I wanted to do in my life. I went and served in the Washington Spokane mission. I served an LDS mission for 2 years. That is a part of the church that I actually am a part of. And I know that as I was serving, I felt the goodness of the Spirit, and I felt that I was actually being able to influence others for good in that state. But when I finished, I came back from Washington, and I returned to Utah to be able to be released as a full-time missionary for the church. So I returned back from the state, and I was able to meet up with my family, and we had dinner, and then we got to talk about all the good things that have occurred there. While I was there, I was thinking about what I wanted to do, and I wanted to think about all of the possibilities of leaning towards film. So when I arrived to Provo, Utah, I went to a college known as Utah Valley University to study digital media with an emphasis in cinematic productions as my major. I was able to progress in my bachelor's degree, and I was able to excel in my education there while I was working part-time at another job. So I was very busy during that time after my mission. I got to thinking, though, as I was thinking about all the hobbies that I wanted to do, I became very passionate about doing film projects with other people. So I started setting up, I started writing screenplays, and I started putting together other film projects with my buddies, and we shot films almost every weekend, and we edited and put them on our YouTube channels to showcase for some of our academics so that we can improve on our craft. I really enjoyed doing that. It was one of my favorites, and I still continue to do so today. Though one of the other passions that I like to do is YouTube. I really have gotten into the YouTube gaming scene, and I was very, very pleased with how YouTube was actually improving upon their gaming layout. So when I started watching Jacksepticeye, or when I was watching PewDiePie, I was able to see some of the creative passion behind film that I was not able to see before. And it was one of those things that I enjoyed, was gaming. And Markiplier showed that he could be a voice in being able to entertain and entertain an audience that would be able to bring about the creative process of YouTube and Let's Play gaming. So I set up my own as well. I created my gaming channel in 2014, and I set up the banner. I created I created the profile pic, and I was able to actually do Let's Plays throughout the years, and you guys seem to really enjoy them. So throughout my life, I feel that passion and critique have always been a part of my education throughout my life. I always wanted to be a professional storyteller, so I wrote books, I did film, I've also been able to do YouTube videos with my buddies, and I just feel like there's always an opportunity for me to be able to have an open door in which I can be able to prove my craft in digital media. And I found that YouTube was that creative opportunity for me to actually showcase my work. And I'm so grateful for you guys and being able to listen to my story and hear what I have to say, because I absolutely adore my fans. So draw my life. This is my life. I'm so grateful that you guys were able to listen, and I hope to be able to put more videos on the channel in the future. Have a good day.